All right, let those notifications go on out. For those of you who know, on Tuesdays around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, here we are with CHA's live Truth Seeker podcast. CHA's Truth Seeker podcast, okay, that is on the other podcast platforms are pre-recorded. So we bring y'all alive over here on our YouTube channel. So let's do our usual check. Okay. And for any of you who are waiting on a response, I will get to you. All right. So just keep on keeping on and do what we usually do. That's right. Did our engineering work, if you will. So, that's right. Good to go. All right. Good to go. All right. We are going to dive into this because this is, after all, what it's all about for trauma healing and spiritual growth, right? Because we're in a spiritual battle for the mind. We're in a spiritual battle. It's chosen one versus narcissist. Remember, the human host of demon spirits, a lot of them don't know they are demonically possessed. So when we say narcissist, we are actually referring to their demon spirits and not the human host. However, for simplicity, it just is what it is. Referring to the narcissist as a narcissist, so be it. Because that's what they are. And that's because of their demonic possession. And how chosen one, we get rid of those clingy little triggers, narc fleas, right? Where they tried to get us to internalize their negative stuff, their demon spirit. So we want to remember that it's very important to have this discussion because chosen ones are the light of the world. So yeah, drop that in the comment below. Say, we are the light of the world. That's right. And all these narcissists out here want to continue to try and dim our light. Well, God says, not anymore. When He awakens us, that's it. That's it. And we start to learn what God means. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. We understand that better. Oh, yeah. So what it comes down to is when the enemy only has the physical left to try and attack. Remember, God tells us, don't be concerned about that. As long as we keep our soul, we good. Jesus saved us. That moment when God awakened us to all of this narcissism and the narcissist around us, and that narcissistic matrix, that very moment, our subconscious is awake. And it's just going to continue to get clearer and clearer and clearer going forward. Because that's how it has to be in order for us to catch God's revelation. So let's go ahead and get these formalities out of the way. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency for healthier living. After all, to live our best life, we must be living a healthier life. And there's ways to do that. Absolutely. Oh, we get around that resistance. That's right. The enemy don't like it, but again, he can't stop God. And I know that we're not the only one on this journey. It's just a matter of others who know about this radio frequency and the symptoms associated with the poisoning and how the world, as I say on the Patreon channel, how the world blames RF symptoms on food. Oh, I'm in that season where God's revealing a bunch more about that to me. I'm like, no wonder, because there's a lot of fruits that are high in potassium. Yeah. Tomatoes being one. That's right. Pineapple being another. So I just gonna give you all that, okay, to chew on mentally, all right? Because that just, yeah, God's revealing a lot more to me because of the matrix blaming RF symptoms on food. And that's not a surprise, because in this spiritual battle, that's right, in this spiritual battle for the mind between chosen one and narcissist, well, as chosen one, we learn, right? Let's cover it, shall we? Because we learned it when we're immersed in the Word of God, okay? Because, oh gosh, yes. In Colossians, right? Colossians. There we go. We're going to find it. Give me just a moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It might be easier if I just go ahead and find them. Okay, Colossians. Yes, I know. It's in the New Testament, obviously. I needed the page number. Okay, here we go. In the book of Colossians, okay, 2 verse 19. Again, very, very important, because that is the theme for how to detox from trauma nutrition course at CHA Academy, btbw.com. Right? That is the theme. Because, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joint and band having nourishment, ministry, and knit together, increaseth with the increase of God. One more time. I saw the Wi-Fi do that. It says, and not holding the head, from which all the body by joint and band having nourishment ministered and knit together increases with the increase of God. So the closer to God we get, the more our nourishment is increased. And we play a big role in that. Oh gosh, yes. So we learn. And that verse right there also explains why the Jezebel case study, another why the Jezebel case study did what she did or tried to do. Because the spiritual battle for the mind, it starts with the head. Right? Obviously, right? That matrix lied to us about a lot of things throughout our entire life. Not just about ourselves, but about what's real and what's not. What does exist versus what doesn't. So yeah, we are purging that subconscious. When God awakened us, he had to reveal the Jezebels. He had to reveal, yes, so that we could easily discern better going forward between a part-time one and the Jezebel. And either or, if they're a narcissist, we want to make sure. Okay, now if we still have to work with them, you all, sometimes that happens, you figure that out. And that's why you have How to Deal with Toxic Coworkers, also available at CHA Academy, btbw.com, because those are tried and true steps to help you learn how to deal with narcissists in any environment. Okay, those 5 steps can be fine-tuned and tweaked. And the Godhead and I can help you with that. Fellow Warriors for Christ can help you with that. Yes, we are a growing community at CHA of spiritual warriors for Christ. And we are on a journey together to combat that, our movement, combating that RF, that RF poisoning, so that we can live healthier lives. Because there's several of us on this journey. And I can tell you from the first go-round, the first time I got on the blood type diet, and that my head started to clear even more and more and more. Oh, let me tell you, and we start to discover just how much of a role that salt, the metal toxins, those are metal salts. That's my forensic toxicology master's degree talking, y'all. God had me get that for a reason. Now we know why, because it fits in our movement. And it's also part of trauma healing. And those same mechanisms of action, okay, yeah, that toxic substances have on the brain also help to explain what's going on during the trauma bonding process to a narcissist, right? With the manipulation of the brain chemistry. It's what it's all about. Spiritual battle for the mind. So of course, it's going to manipulate our brain chemistry any way that it can. And so we also learn, why the enemy is so obsessed with things that he's obsessed with, like salt. Okay, because we know that salt is the body's thermostat. For those who didn't know that, now you do. If you are getting tricked into thinking you got heartburn, you better think again. That's radio frequency poisoning talking. And it's heating your body on the inside out. And so, I'm going to share an example with you all because it's very important. Because that's what happened today, right? So, I'm the chosen one. We are the light of the world. Again, drop that in the comments below. This is what we're doing. We're exposing the darkness in the spiritual battle for the mind. Because all these narcissists want us to believe things about ourselves that are not true, so that we go running into the matrix and start buying a bunch of stuff to take that is only designed to prolong the negative effects of radio frequency poisoning. I'm telling you, I tested those theories out myself. Because once we learn something in God's reality, that matrix has everything backwards, opposite, upside down, right? Because they do the opposite of what God says to do and not to do, right? Okay. We learn to flip the script ourselves too. Oh, they told us this. Aha. Oh, but they blamed it on. Oh, yeah, they blamed it on food. Well, I was eating my brown rice pasta with a little bit of tuna that came with no salt added. Okay. And then putting a little bit of that mustard on there. Okay. Mustard, all natural. Okay, for minor aches and pains, because we are going through a detox process. So, as we continue to do that, we're monitoring the amount of sodium that we're taking in. Big time. And that's why we've got to be patient. It's one day at a time. When we expose this darkness, because I was eating the lunch, right? And God had me say, yeah, and watch your portions too, because we want to get back to eating the way we're supposed to be eating. Because when the internal heat is that hot, y'all, yeah, it makes it difficult to be able to see things as they are. It makes it more challenging to know when you're full. It makes you think you're hungry when you're not. All kinds of head games go on when your body's internal heat is higher than it should be. So, I'm speaking not just from basic scientific fact, but personal experience. Okay? So, with that being said, we're paying attention. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, all right, eating a little bit of lunch. And then I was checking in with the academy, right? So I come over to the devices. Oh, I know what the enemy tried to do. The enemy tried to make me afraid of my devices. Well, because what I'm experiencing now, I've already experienced before. And it does go away. I know this. Because the ex-psycho tried to do the same thing. Because chosen ones were born to shine. That's what we up here doing. Exposing this darkness, the lies of the world, the matrix, the lies of the narcissist. Because that's part of the spiritual battle. You know, God tells us we've got to reprove, meaning expose the wickedness. Expose these lies. Here's the thing, though, too. The truth, it is the best camouflage because not everybody's going to believe it. Or maybe not a whole lot of people. But I would tell you that there's a few of you, you know what I'm talking about. That's right. Because I was standing there eating, and I come over to my devices, and then I can feel it in the pit of my belly, that same sensation that used to trick me. Used to trick me. That's the key word in the past. It used to trick me into thinking that I was experiencing something that I now know I don't have. Because that would trick me into doing what? Going and taking something for that is designed to prolong that. Let that sink in. Those that cause the ailment are the ones who sell the cure. Evil plays both sides. Let that sink in. They got to cause the ailment using radio frequency And then they got to try and sell you a cure or not. That so-called cure just tricks you into thinking that it's working when it's actually prolonging the negative effects of radio frequency, because the radio frequency poisoning effect on the inside of the body is supposed to be very short-lived, because God designed our body so strategically for us to get rid of what doesn't belong in it. The enemy knows this, that God created our biological body to get rid of what doesn't belong in it quickly. Remember, God hastens it on his time. And so thanks to a fellow warrior who found Matthew 5, verse 13, because Jesus is using metaphors, right? Well, he talks in parables. And so the enemy is taking the literal, but we understand that salt is needed on the inside of the body. Yeah, we understand that, because that's what is the conduit for the heat. Radio, you got to have that salt in there for the body to get. Basically, what a lot of people end up dying from is that radio frequency poisoning, because in its simplicity, they're being cooked from the inside out. Matthew 5, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his Savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. The enemy takes that literally, using radio frequency. But Jesus is talking about chosen one, okay, being the salt of the earth. It's a metaphor for righteousness. But the enemy takes that literally. Of course, once the enemy discovered that salt can do that, metals are a lot of metals are salts. Once the enemy discovered that you can poison people with radio frequency that way, and other things, other toxins on this planet, right? Once the enemy discovered you can do that, yeah, it is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Okay? But Jesus is talking about righteousness in its simplicity. He's talking about us doing the right thing. Chosen one doing the right things. Chosen one making things right. Exposing the darkness of the narcissist, absolutely. The chosen ones are the light of the world. Salt is light. So that's another thing that Jesus is referring to there. The chosen ones are the light of the world, while the narcissists are the darkness of this world. We start to see this a lot better the further along we get in the spiritual awakening in God's reality. Because, right, it is mind-blowing moment after mind-blowing moment in God's reality. And I don't mind it when God blows my mind, because it's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But the thing is that when God reveals these things to us, it is our duty to bring it to you all, because God says he's not going to have us ignorant to the enemy's devices. So when we realize that, okay, we are in a spiritual battle for the mind, yeah, and that radio frequency is used for mind control, go figure, and that I shared with y'all a while back. Let me bring it back, because just how God revealed some of this to me is that light, during the beginning when I was sorting through a bunch of stuff, and shortly before getting on the dietary reset, get back on the blood type diet, glory be to God. And I remember standing underneath that light while I'm doing dishes. And I was trying to figure out, I was like, why is my autonomic nervous system acting the way it's acting? And then I'm feeling this tingling, right? Well, I did the research a long time ago and found out that our body gets rid of, remember, God designed our body strategically to get rid of anything excessive, like excessive heat. And so how did he do that? Right, well, there's many places that the body will get rid of excessive heat, okay? When you use the restroom, obviously, okay? So speaking, singing, that's right. Exercising, but primarily from the top of the head and the bottoms of the feet. So anytime I feel like I can feel the cool tingling, that lets me know my body is getting rid of some excess heat that doesn't belong in it. So for anybody else who needed that, there you go. Don't get panicked over that sensation. It's totally normal. I know, I read somewhere, listen, let me set the record straight here. I read somewhere when somebody asked that question on Quora about why is it when they're like on their computer for a period of time, they wanted to know why they were feeling the like a tingling of the head. And somebody answered and said something about that spirit guy's trying to get in there. No! That's your body getting rid of excessive heat because you're staring at a frequency screen that is doing what? That is heating up the inside of the body. And so it's just trying to get rid of that heat. That's where that tingling is coming from. That's all it is. And so, same thing, bottoms of the feet. So the enemy knows that. Right? The enemy wants to make it hard for people to be able to sit down for a little while or even stand, but also so that we got to put socks on our feet and then shoes, right? What does that do? Hold that heat on in there. So then your feet start feeling like pins and needles, right? Because they're hot. When you feel that sensation, just know that's because they're hot. And so the best thing to do for whoever needs this tip, okay, especially on the detox process, after you've done your walk or exercising or whatever, and if you're experiencing that on your feet, after you get done stretching as best you can, remember, take it easy, all right, because you're going to go through phases as that excess salt gets out of the body. Yeah, get them shoes and socks off your feet and relax for a minute and you'll feel the heat at the bottom of the feet. Absolutely. And so just chill for a moment. Get you a cool towel. In fact, this is the tip I gave y'all. I'm going to bring it back. A hand towel. A damp hand towel, right? You wet it. To get it nice in the freezer for the first time, but not for very long. It don't take long to get it nice and cold. And then after you use it and you wring out a little bit of that excess water because it's going to be a little icy, okay? You wring out a little of that excess water, roll it up, fold it, and then roll it. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. That way you have a visual and it'll make better sense. A simple little hand towel. All right. It's like I say, when y'all come on here, truth seeker. All right. God revealed this to me. Okay. This is a simple hand towel. All right. And I've got it, damp. You don't keep it wet, but you fold it in half. And then you fold it in half again, like this. Okay. And then you roll it up. Remember, after you get it out of the freezer and use it for the first time, it's going to have a little excess water from the ice. So you'll squeeze out the excess water and then you'll roll it up. That way it doesn't take up too much space inside your refrigerator to get it cold again. And so when you get back from a walk or exercising or anytime you need to, if you're standing there and you start to feel that means that the heat's trying to get out of the body. So you sit down and you take that hand towel out of the fridge. You open that sucker up and you wrap. Leave the bottom of the foot open. That's for the heat trying to get out. And you can help it by wrapping that around your heel, your ankle, and that part of your calf, that part of your leg. And that'll help. It takes no more than a few minutes, and you will see how quickly this gets hot. That tells you how much heat is on the inside of that body, and that's a lot. That means it's too much. And so, roll it back up, put it back in the fridge, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes to help with that. There's your tip, okay? Yeah, and then of course if you've got ice packs, by all means, you do that. Okay, so there's plenty of ways to help your body get re-regulated, okay, from all that excessive heat on the inside. Because that's what causes a lot of things. That causes digestive upset. That I'm telling you from experience also. Basic scientific fact and experience combined. So basically education and experience. And then of course God's revelation. That tops all. Okay, because when God revealed this stuff, I'm going to bring it to you. It's all about that combat against this stuff in the spiritual battle for the mind, for healthier living. And so I give y'all these tips. They're tried and true techniques. Because obviously I wouldn't be doing that myself, right? Okay. And so that helps. It helps to detox. So that we can get the toxins out because of the way that the body gets rid of the excessive heat. And the enemy knows this. That's why he does the things that he does with the weather manipulation, climate manipulation, same thing. So if you can get to a point where the internal, where your home, wherever it is you reside, all right, make sure that temperature stays consistent so that your body can adapt. Okay, because if the body cannot adapt, it stays unstable, inconsistent on the inside because of the inconsistency on the outside. Body can't heal in those conditions. The enemy knows that. Think about it. The body, well, it'll still heal, but it's going to prolong the inconsistency on outside and inside, prolongs pain and suffering. Because the enemy knows that the toxin, and I can back it up with the duration of effect section of all these metals in that my big green book of mine that talks about all of that toxicology stuff. That many of these things out here, the toxins, they don't survive in an environment that is operating as it should. In other words, there's no excessive heat. You're eating healthier. You're working out. You're staying active, right? Because as a fellow warrior, my mentoring spirit says that, yeah, God made us. He made this body to be moving. Okay? He did not make this body to just be sitting down all the time, scrolling, playing games. That's what the toddlers and adult bodies do. So God made our bodies to move. And we also learned that salt is a stiffener. So if you are experiencing stiffness, it's from excessive salt that is contributing to excessive heat on the inside of the body. Oh, I knew about that based on the quick research I had to do when the ex-psycho roommate was blasting me with RF inside that home. Yeah, in an attempt to steal, kill, destroy. But that didn't work. But I learned about all of this then. So I've known about this for a long time. It's just I had more dots to connect. And so that Jezebel case study that did what she did, we count it all joy because now we can connect more dots. about the autonomic nervous system, more about how that stuff is used out there, the radio frequency, and connect more dots to how it is responsible for a lot of things, so we can purge that subconscious and unlearn worldly garbage, the lies that we've been told. Let me share with you all one I just discovered. Well, God revealed it to me, obviously, because I'm asking him now. I'm like, okay. So, I share the fun fact, number 50, at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. Yeah, that tomatoes don't cause heartburn. No, tomatoes are very high in potassium and other nutrients. But you convince a person that every time they eat tomatoes, it causes something like that, and trick them into not eating tomatoes. That's the enemy's goal, is to get people to not eat healthier. Because he knows that if we are on a healthier diet that is high in protein, low in carb, high in potassium and other nutrients, that's right, and low in sodium, that radio frequency is not going to have the negative intended effects on us, because it doesn't have anywhere to stay on the inside of the body. So in other words, once we get rid of all the fatty tissue that we can, the excessive, right? Yep, and we're working out and toning up, right? We get rid of that. So we're also taking in lesser salt, so we're not helping the body create excessive mucus. And we're also able to naturally get rid of air pockets, because our circulation is operating as it should, right? Okay, so when the internal environment is operating as God intended for it to operate, the radio frequency is not going to have that negative intended effect on us. And so what God revealed to me as far as another lie from the Matrix is it had me convinced that I had some sort of sinus issue. Remember, the Matrix wants people to think that they got something wrong with them, because that's all a mask for radio frequency poisoning. That's the underlying cause for a lot of things. So we get tricked into thinking that we got something wrong with us. Chosen one, ain't nothing wrong with you. No. We learned that there's nothing wrong with us at all. God made us how he made us on purpose and for a purpose. But we learned that I don't have no sinus issues. That was all radio frequency related. But what was happening was, because the drainage would go into my belly for a long time, I thought, okay, now I know why it would cause a little bit of tummy discomfort, because of the salt that's in mucus. Now we know why. Because excessive salt can lead to a upset tummy. God did not design our digestive tract to try and handle the excessive salt. So there you go. And so now that we know that, right, we didn't at the time. I had somebody tell me that drinking water with ice in it is what causes the sinus thing. So for a long time, I believed it. Not anymore, because I know that chewing food promotes circulation in the head. Come on, y'all. It promotes that circulation in the head. And add that going down, the circulation in the head does what? Going to get rid of the excess mucus that may be hanging out there. And so when I would drink ice water, ice being the key word here, promotes circulation because the salt was causing the internal heat to get a little higher than normal, which hinders proper circulation. Think about that. Yeah, I remember, when I had to get some ice packs and I was looking at what the old version of me used to think. They tell you get a hot and cold pack. And I'm like, wait a second. Common sense. Come on, y'all. Think outside the box. Chosen ones are smart. I said, if the internal heat of my body is higher than it should be, all I need is an ice pack. Why do I want to have a hot pack? That's the last thing I want. So I had a little bruise that I find. Well, I could feel the heat coming from that bruise. Why am I going to put a hot pack on that? Exactly. Because it's that heat, if it's got an air pocket, metal molecule inside the mucus, and then excessive heat, ping, that's what's going to make it hurt. Because I remember the first time I put ice pack on my calf and then wrapped up a little wrap and then clamped it in place. When I did that, I felt it. I said, oh, okay, wow. So it's the cooling, it's the ice that was in that water that was helping the body get rid of the excessive mucus from the head. See, I didn't know that at the time. We know that now. Because when I ice pack in certain places, there's other areas of the body that it's like, we paying attention. Oh yeah, we're paying attention during this detox because it's very important to do that so that we don't get tripped up. And yeah, you're gonna feel better, but don't get tricked just because you get that burst of energy. Keep it in check. Right? Keep it in check. Because the enemy wants people to be more accident prone, unaware of their autonomic nervous system, unaware of their body's internal heat being higher than it should be. So their ANS remains a little asleep. And they remain aloof, if you will. And so that the more they're on their devices, right, and they're consuming the excessive salt, they don't realize that they're causing their body to tense up. Because tension also hinders proper circulation. And so when the body's not circulating as it should be, nutrients aren't getting delivered to where they need to go, which is the goal of the enemy, is to prevent the nutrients from getting where they need to go for healthier living. Because God revealed to me that those nutrients like potassium serve as a cushion for our joint and muscles and the brain. So I want y'all to think about something. What do we know about heat? Yeah, heat plays a role in what? Expanding the cool contract, right? It shrinks back down the size. Think about a rubber tire on the car, right? Warmer temps tends to expand a little. But when it gets cooler, you get that little light on your dash. You go check your air. Right? Because some. And so some of the air got out. Same thing happened to our bodies. So this is why when we're exercising and things like that, we want to be mindful, make sure we are breathing and getting oxygen to those muscles. Very, very important. The enemy knows that. But hinder circulation, that just makes it a little bit more challenging to get where it needs to get. So, yeah, I know. This is truth seeking, y'all. This is truth telling. This is truth talking. Because God wants us to heal. The enemy does not. Because when we are healed and living healthier lives, well, we're not of any use to the matrix now, are we? No. And so we come together, chosen one, because we grow our community, work with one another, help each other out. Because that matrix, it don't want none of that. Remember, the matrix has a love of money. And God said that's the root of all evil. He didn't say we can't have money. He said it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. He knows we need money to pay our bill and to get groceries. That's right. He knows. Put gas in our car. I mean, he knows. God knows what we need, and He will always provide. You got to trust and believe. But chosen ones are the light of this world. And so all that information I just shared with you regarding radio frequency is part of the darkness of this world. Because that's what causes a lot of the things that would trick us into out there and buying and taking things that will only prolong the negative effects of the radio frequency poisoning. I tested those theory out myself. That's right. I had one of those little pings and pains. And so I got to thinking, because when I'm like, okay, so we got to unlearn a bunch of worldly garbage, right? So I'm like, okay, well, that being said, I started thinking about how evil plays both sides, and I was like, okay, I started experiencing in the very beginning of this journey, if you will, from closing that Jezebel case study, I started feeling a little pings and pains, and I went, I wonder, because we learned that the narcissists mean the opposite of what they say, right? And they do the opposite of what they say. So I'm like, okay, and we start learning that inside the matrix, a lot of things are done opposite of what they, right. We start to notice these things. So I said, I wonder, because I learned that we live in a world that is 20% legit, 80% deception. So I'm like, okay. That being said, and the 20% legit usually comes from holistic, all-natural herbal remedies, y'all. Usually, okay? There's a few items that go into the 20% because they need the 20% legit to help make the 80% deception look real. Okay? Keep that in mind. So I went and got one of those roll-on, so-called pain reliever thingies. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to test this out. I wonder, does this really work at all? Or does it make it worse? So I go up and I put it on. Because now I'm testing out a theory. So I put it on that spot, because the ping and the pain that I experienced, it was not severe. Okay? It was just enough to get my attention to go, I gotta test this theory out. So I did. I went and got that. And I put it on the spot. And it didn't take 5 minutes for me to go, well then, and throw that sucker in the trash, because it made it worse. I got to experience for what it really is. But see, if you don't know that, and if you're believing You believe that it's working and you keep using it. You don't realize that after so many applications, right? After so many applications, the stuff that's in that is going to numb that area. But the underlying issue being radio frequency is still there. So that's that. Okay, so now I have something else to share with you all. Okay, truth seekers. All right, you're going to hear me talk. For those of you who have not yet already, you will. You hear me talk about how God has a get thing. No, God is a planner, a preparer, a producer, positioner, and promoter. So God has a get thing because he knows, right? God has a get thing because he knows when something's going to occur. We might have an issue or something. It's not a bad thing. It's just we want to solve that. So this is why I say take a look at what you already have. I guarantee you, God already had you get something to get started, okay, with whatever it is he got you working on, all right? You get started, and then also to solve. God is a problem solver. He's chosen one for problem solver. That's another reason why we're the light of the world, because we can put an end to a dilemma, okay? And so when I first got in this apartment, I had a laundry bag. And I needed somewhere to put it, something to put it in, because it wasn't going to hang on the wall or nothing like that. All right, it wasn't just going to sit on the floor. I needed something to put it in. And so because of the previous environment, I was using a trash can, but it had a lid, as a hamper. Nothing wrong with that, y'all. That's a tip for somebody who needs it. But you can use it. If you're holding on to a trash can that has a lid and you're not using it in the kitchen, but you need a hamper, take a look at what you already have. Okay? There you go. All right, so because of that experience and knowing that you can do that, when I went, I said, okay, let's get, God said, go ahead and get you. It's about a 4 foot tall trash can, but don't get the lid, because I'm going to put the laundry bag in it to put my dirty clothes in. And because I was not going to want to wash that bag every single wash, there's no need to, because it's that kind of bag. It doesn't hold on to odor or anything. But it does get washed every now and again. He had me get a folding laundry basket with handles. And I had that thing folded up. See the hamper underneath the bathroom sink, and then that little thing folded up. For about a month and a half to 2 months now, I've been on the hunt for what I thought I needed in the shower for a triangle type table, because I have 4 bottles of 2 conditioners and 2 shampoos, because it's good to switch it up every once in a while, y'all. Okay, for those who don't know that, it's good to switch up shampoos every once in a while. So I have one that I use regularly, and then another one to kind of give my hair a break from that one. Okay, get rid of any kind of buildup, stuff like that. Anyhow, so I had those 4 bottles, but they were sitting on the base, of the shower, and I was like, I've got to get those up onto something. And so I've been looking for what I had in my mind as a corner table to put, right? But I was not able to find it, not even on Amazon, nowhere. See, for whoever needs this is why. It's because God already had me get the solution for that. I just didn't know it yet till today. So as I am washing my hair, and so I squat down and get I'm like, I want to keep on having a squat. Not that it matters, but seriously, I need to get these things on up. They're too big a bottle to go in the shower caddy. So the shower caddy has some body wash and soap and face wash, and other things that go on it. But I needed something to get those 4 bottles up off the base. so that I'm not, really, because like, I got to find something. And I moved away from thinking it had to be a triangle. I said, you know what? It doesn't even have to be a triangle at this point. I just need something to get those up on. And it needs to be at least around 4 foot tall. And God told me this morning, he said, take a look at what you already have. In other words, God has given me my own advice. He said, before you go running out there, spending unnecessary money, he said, I want you to take a look at what you already have. And so what he showed me, see how God had us get that trash can to use as a hamper temporarily, you see. He said, I want you to take that bag out. What do you do with that basket? That laundry basket, right? He said, open it up. What do you do? Oh, that's when I take that to the dryer and bring back the clean clothes. I was like, okay. And he said, why don't you put the laundry bag in it, and it fits over the lip of the basket, because the size of the basket is the size of the load that I'm going to have anyway. So now, if I can see better, right, inside that hamper as to how many items are actually in there. And so, right, and so now it's sitting in the basket, and I can see, okay, so where it's at, once I see the clothes get to about the top of that basket, it's time for me to do laundry, right? Which I would know that anyhow, but it just gives me a better gauge. And he said, okay, I want you to turn that trash can upside down. Okay. And so I did. Remember, he had me get that, but not the lid, because we were using it for hamper temporarily. So I turned it over, and the surface was flat. And I went, oh, and the material. That's the other thing I was thinking. In the shower, I needed it to be made of material that would be relatively easy to clean. Well, there you go. The rubber that's used for the trash can was pretty easy to clean. And guess what? All 4 bottles fit right on that sucker perfectly. God had me get the solution because he knew I was going to get those shampoos before I did. So he had me get that trash can before I even got those. You see how God works. That's what I'm saying. Look at what you already have. If you've got a situation similar to that or whatever, and you're trying to find something, and you've been looking for weeks now for a particular item, you looked on Amazon, you've looked everywhere you could for the time being, and you have not found it yet, that should tell you, oh, okay, hold on. Let me take a look at what I already have then, because that means God, you get the solution for whatever it is you're trying to solve. Yeah, God guides our steps. That's how he does it. And I thought that was amazing. I was like, well then, whole time, the solution was staring me in the face. Somebody needed that. All right? Somebody needed that. And there you go. And that's how we do it. Because I guarantee you, y'all, when we start thinking like a millionaire, come on now. You know they ain't out here spending money every day. No. You know they're not. They're out here making money every day. Change that thinking. Get rid of that scarcity mindset. And then also learn to look at what you already have. Because I thought that was amazing. I was like, okay, yeah, because I don't need to continue doing things the way we did before. So when God switches things up. And chosen ones, we aren't even about being fancy. It ain't got to be nothing extravagant. But the trash can, the light gray color, it's fine. Turn it upside down. Got the flat surface. All the space that I needed to put those bottles on to get them off the base. Problem solved. So I don't need to go looking for nothing else. It was like, okay, pretty cool, huh? So now I'm better organized because of that. Because it fit underneath the sink, but I only had about that much space to be able to see in it. You see, I didn't realize that that's not really an issue, but yeah, because I have to carry that bag to the laundry room. So we don't want it to be too heavy. Yeah, so go. And it's a beautiful thing. And so for those who are maybe unaware, we now have our digital product line available on the Patreon channel. And more is on the way. Absolutely. We're always working on something for y'all because it's part of our movement here at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. That combat against radio frequency for healthier living. And it's all part of that movement. Giving you guys guides, okay, that guidance. Okay, so you have CHA low sodium menu guide with some pictures. Listen, when I provide y'all with these guides for healthier eating as part of the movement, you can fine tune and tweak. Okay, these are just guides. You can supplement. Okay, let's say you come across the meal and it's got, let's say a couple eggs, a little bit of cheese. You made an omelet and I've got chili on it, like a chili cheese omelet. Okay. Let's say you have all that, but you don't have the chili. You can find something else to top that off if you need to. Look at what you already have. If you've got some salsa, that'll work. It's just to your liking. You know, that's just one example. And let's say I've got a dinner where it's got, let's say, salmon and a couple of vegetables. You don't have, but you got the vegetable, but you've got chicken. You can use chicken. Okay, that's the whole point, is you can modify with what you have. Okay, so when you download those guides off our Patreon shop, you just save them and they serve as a guide, giving you tips. And we also have some cooking demos now on our Patreon channel. That's right. So when I prepare a superfood, if it's one that I've not done yet already, I will provide another cooking demo, and we do a little story time about how things came to be at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. And a little bit, it's like y'all get to sit and watch me demonstrate how we make our superfoods and smoothies and other things going forward. It's like you get to sit there and I'm giving you it's like you're sitting in my living room, my little bitty kitchen. And so I'm standing there and I'm showing you how I prepare these things to kind of give y'all some more guidance on this journey. That's right. And so the link to the Patreon channel is also listed below. You can scroll on down. It's a little bit down towards the bottom, but I highly encourage y'all to check that out. It's well worth it. A lot more value over there too. And so we continue to bring you all to go along with this movement and the mission. Remember, the mission, okay, at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. That's the mission. But it's more than that now. It's movement to push back against radio frequency so we can live healthier lives. And so, glory be to God. Because we want to take better care of this temple for the Holy Spirit. That's right. Okay, fellow spiritual warriors for Christ, there you go. So that's it for this episode. Yes, hello. That's it for this episode today. Any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. As always, when you leave it on the replay, I will get to those as soon as possible. I know some of y'all are waiting on some interactions, some comments and responses. I'm going to get to those. Okay, so thank you for your continued patience as we also are going through the detoxing with you. Okay. And it's wonderful. It really is, because God brings more revelation to me every single day. More live that we've been told since birth, and then throughout our lives, about things in this world and what's really going on, and how, it's really something. And it comes more and more and more as God reveals. So I'm going to bring it to y'all. All right, everybody, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker Podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency poisoning for healthier living. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CDHRWDRMD.com. The link to that is also listed below. Some of you might need to copy and paste the link to view what CHACademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. And so there you go. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.